Why is this not? Just hang on. Sorry, for some reason I'm having a problem with the record. Ah, it's on. Okay, it's recording. Enjoy, and we'll chat later.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another unforgettable episode of our Life Unscripted podcast. This is your host, Janie Lacey.
And this is Melody Garcia. I hope you had an incredible, amazing week. Hey, Janie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, straight from Chicago.
I know. I got to see your adventures. And hey, congratulations on the Tilt Challenge and going up the Willis Towers and doing some duplication of my, Conquer the Fear photo.
Yes.
It's definitely so excited. Well, today we are going to have such an amazing time, and I'm really humbled and excited to announce that our guest, and that I could barely contain my excitement when he said yes, is none other than one of the people that has had a tremendous impact in my personal journey. I call him Master Mentor. I call him Coach of the Coach, and I certainly call him a dear friend and a blessing in my life. So without further ado, honoring us this morning with the gift of his presence is Anil Gupta. It's certainly a moment where destinies and my own shape of my life was defined. And Anil, I'd like to welcome you to our show this morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm so happy to be here. So what a pleasure it is to be on your show, and let's change some lives.
Well, truly an honor to have you, Anil, to have you grace us with your presence on our show. Because Melanie knows you so well and you are her mentor, we're going to give her the honor of sharing with our listeners a little bit about you so that we can let them know who you are.
Well, thank you for that, Janie. Again, I don't even know where to begin with Anil. But I'm going to read you just a brief, what I call a brief snippet of what we call a bio. But this man is not to be contained by words, and you're going to learn that in the reason as to why that is in a few minutes here. But for those who has not heard of the name Anil Gupta, he has coached some of the most famous celebrities on the planet, like Mike Tyson, as well as being a guest speaker with none other than Sir Richard Branson on Necker Island. He enjoys helping people overcome obstacles that prevents them from living a fulfilled life, and has appeared on stages all over the world, and was recently a keynote speaker in Medellin, Colombia, in front of over 10,000 raving fans. He has appeared at Harvard on a number of occasions and is a guest speaker on Fox News, as well as a best-selling international author of Immediate Happiness. He has written a number of published articles, with the most recent one for Virgin Group. He just returned from receiving an Icon Award in LA and is receiving further awards as well as global recognitions. So, if you want to have a truly dramatic impact on your life, I welcome you to connect with Mr. Anil Gupta.
Hey, thank you so much for such a great intro.
You know, one of the impressions I had of you, Anil, and if I can just kick off with that, just recently meeting you last week and having a brief conversation about your upcoming events. And you had made the comment to me, you were sharing that you were going to be in a space with a name that we know in the political arena, as well as a musical guest. And I had said to you that one day I'm going to be you, tongue in cheek. And you had made the comment, well, be you. And I want to unpack that for a moment, because there are so many of us that, and I'm saying us meaning generally the public, where we look at people and what they've accomplished, and we will focus on the person and make them the icon versus focusing on their efforts and the things that they have done to overcome to be where they are. So could you share a little bit about us, share with us, so that we can learn what were some of the things in which you defied some of the impossibles in your life? Because our show is about breakdown to breakthrough. So we would love to kind of just kick off to hear a little bit about some of the things that you had to overcome to be where you are coaching some of the great names that we know and the great man that we're looking at in this moment.
Yeah, really, the biggest one was overcoming the suicidal thoughts that I had in 2008. I'd lost everything in the stock market, real estate. I was losing my house, everything. And in that moment, it's a defining moment. You have two choices. You either thrive or you die. And I needed help. And whenever we're in trouble, it's always good to get someone that you trust. So my mentor at that time was Tony Robbins. So I was fortunate enough. Again, I wasn't really fortunate enough because I'd already made up these relationships. So the secret to living is to make sure you build your relationships, because one day you never know how they could benefit you or you could benefit them. And I managed to get through a friend of a friend an invitation to a private mastermind with Tony Robbins in Miami, which we attended, and he was able to do an intervention on me. His wife did one, his wife's brother did one, then my wife stepped in. And because of that intervention, all the thoughts disappeared and I started to help other people. And that's when the journey, the really great journey started. So if you're going through some adversity right now, know that it will get better, but you have to change.
Thank you so much for sharing that vulnerability of having suicidal thoughts in 2008, because there are a lot of listeners that can relate with that, but they have a lot of shame around it. And one of the great nuggets that you just shared, which also can be layered, is that our support system and the people that are around us and the people who can intervene on our life, because we can get comforted by, in our crisis, to have people who can comfort and they make us comfortable in that bed of the crisis versus taking us to our deliverance. So by you having those people in your life, they were able to get you through because they knew who you were, but they also knew where you had the potential and where you are going, versus having people around you who can just stay comforted with you in the crisis, and that's where they're also comfortable at. So could you speak to us, because I think that's huge, about the importance of our network and the importance of the people and our support system and what that should look like for us if we want to continue to be healthy and to meet some of our goals in life?
Yeah, no, it's so important. People suffer from the crab syndrome. And do you know what the crab syndrome is?
I would love for you to tell us about that syndrome so I can make sure I don't have it.
If you put, say, 5 crabs in a bucket and one of the crabs tries to leave, the other 4 crabs will pull it down. Okay, so it's what I'm saying is, be careful who you spend time with. So here's a really great exercise, if I can share it with you. So write down all the people that you spend time with and then give them a grade. 1, grade A is people who inspire you. 2, who inspire you sometimes but pull you down sometimes. That would be a B grade, and a C grade who pull you down. So get rid of the C's for sure. Spend less time with B's and spend as much time as with A's as you can. If you can turn a B into an A quickly, that's fine, but it shouldn't be a big effort. So it will drag you down spending time with C's. Sometimes you're married to a C, but it tells you something, that it's time to move on, because life is too precious and you only have a number of years left.
So those are beautiful nuggets. And again, it comes down to the people that you surround yourself the most is the sum average of who you are. And, so just to share a bit about my personal journey here, Janie and listeners, Anil came to my life, not surprisingly, that at the time that I was also spiraling down into depression myself. The difference is that I became a perfect chameleon to the public eye and literally could fool and manipulate my way through situations and even people to make sure that the walls remained up until Anil, through introduction of another dear friend of ours, gets on the phone with me. And of course, I've done my research. Who is Anil Gupta? And I've seen the accomplishments of his life. So just like you, Janie, when you said, I want to be you, and he said, be you, he asked me that question and asked me, what does Melody want to become, or who does Melody want to become? And I said the exact same thing you did 3 years ago, Janie, where I said, I want to be just like you. Well, instead of saying be you in a gentler way, he was a bit more direct with me, and it was needed because I was going through this spiral down. Anil smiling for our viewer or listeners that can't see his facial expressions over the podcast. He's smiling because the first words out of Anil's mouth is, you're going to fail. Now, my first initial reaction was, what kind of a mentorship is taking place right now? Who the heck is this man telling me that I'm going to fail because he's known me for about 3 minutes of my life, right? But see, that's what set Anil apart, because there are those that would appease, as he said, those emotions to kind of keep you in that limited view. And there are those people like Anil who'll see right past that and call your BS right then and there. So as my head was trying to catch up with my heart and connect together, because the heart was hurt, my mind's going, what the heck did this man just tell me I was going to fail? He hits me with a second question, and that question is, do you want to know why you're going to fail? And I said to Anil, go right ahead and tell me, because I've never been one to take failure as a partner. And he said, you're going to fail because you're trying to become someone else. You're trying to become someone who you're not. He goes, so your first assignment, he goes, is to find out who Melody really is. And once Melody truly gets to know who she is without any type of distractions, then the true Melody, the powerful Melody, is going to emerge. And that's where our mentorship relationship started. I mean, Anil is the type of mentor that would drop a challenge and will not expect anything, than an excellent delivery. In fact, Anil, can I share my website challenge? As I was starting in this journey of getting my name out there publicly in a different realm, not just the entertainment or the corporate, Anil's first question to me is, do you have a website? And I said, no, I don't. He goes, well, then you have to get your name out there. You need to have a website that's kind of like your modern day business card. And he asked me, how soon can you put one together? And here I was mentally calculating cost, logistics, everything, all the complicated ingredients. And I said, 30 days. And he goes, not good enough, not good enough. And I went, oh, okay, 1 week. And he said, you can do better than that. Now he's starting to push me outside my comfort zone, and we're going to transition to that in a minute. And I said, 3 days? I was grasping at straws at this point, Janie. I'm like, 3 days? I'm not a technical person. I know nothing about putting websites together. But I said 3 days. And then that wasn't enough, because then Anil comes in and goes, what time? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm sweating bullets on the other side of the phone. Because I said, now he wants a time to. I'm like, 7 p.m. And he goes, all right, what's your domain name? So I gave my name. He goes, so at 3 days from this conversation at 7 p.m., I'm going to pull your name up and you're going to have a live website. And that's when I knew that the person I was on the phone with was a different type of mentor. So Anil, can you tell our audience, why did you hold me? Not that, I could have said 2 weeks and he still would have come back with the same response, but why was it so important for you to give me an immediate deadline?
Well, the thing is, I saw a greatness in you that you may not have seen in yourself, and you needed momentum. And I really, to be honest, I coach so many people, I can't recall the exact situation, but I knew that's what you needed. And that's the secret of being a coach, is to remove the coach from the equation, get into the world of the client, and then do whatever is necessary for them. Okay. And the secret is to do it with pure love, no attachment, and just do it for the right reason. No ego, no ulterior motive, but just to serve. And then that's how people get clarity, because they can focus on what needs to be done, do the right thing, and do it fast. And that's what I thought you needed.
Well, it certainly definitely kicked my behind. That's what I'm going to say. But to the listeners, to find out what happened, it was actually, the website was up and running in 2.5 days by 6:47 p.m. And what was beautiful about it is that Anil thought it was going to be a 1-page just my face and a short bio. What we produced was like bio, references, credentials, speaking spaces. And he goes, all right, you definitely put a whole website together. So I'll kick it off to you, Janie.
Melanie and Anil, that story just brings so many thoughts to me. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, Melanie, because what I hear is that action builds courage. And Anil was kicking you to action, because we can sit around and we can be around people who shoot the breeze and talk about ideals and talk about things. But we want to be around and encourage our listeners and our viewers to be around the doers, to be around the people who are going to take action, or who are going to help us take action. Because we, as you mentioned in a tongue-in-cheek, funny way, that you're not a technical person, but God has gifted other people on this earth with talents and skills that we don't have. So reaching out to get help and to get a team focused to be able to help us where we need to go. So then, Anil, with some of the people that you coach, or just thinking in terms of business. I'm a business owner and been a business owner for many years. Can you share with us the importance of exactly what you just did with Melanie, in the sense of the story that she told, getting people and the support system, because there are people who are still trying to emulate another business, or emulate studying businesses and the business themselves versus the efforts and the ways in which the business have gotten to be where they have gotten to be. Could you share with our viewers a little bit of tips as far as building that network as far as it comes to business, to be able to meet our business goals, and some of the things that we would want to do in a business sense?
Well, the number one thing that people need is awareness. And awareness gives you clarity. And that's what people are seeking. They don't really have clarity. They're trying to copy or emulate, or they feel they need to do something when they really don't. So awareness gives you clarity. Clarity gives you focus. Focus gives you action. Action gives you results. Results gives you momentum, which gives you everything. So there was a client I was coaching. She had a very, very successful business, and she wanted to expand and hire more people and blah, blah, blah. Then I asked her a question, why? And she didn't know. And I said, no, there's a reason. Well, people think that's what I should do. And I said, do you love it? She says, no, I don't love it. I hate it. So she was doing something to please other people. She thought that the community felt that she was successful if she had a bigger business. Now she had a huge office. She's got rid of the office. Now she's doing what she loves. She loves to paint. She loves to dance. She loves to create. She loves to draw. She loves to meet people. She loves to dance. She loves music. So she's doing all of that. She loves her family. But she's still thinking, what will other people think? Because they will think she's not successful. But I said to her, you are successful because you're doing what you want to do. All the other people are not doing that. So remember what you love, do what you love. And if the two meet together, do that. It's so important that you have to know that you don't have to please anyone else. You don't have to impress anyone else. It's not about the money. The money will always come, but are you joyful? Are you happy? Do you love what you do?
So going back to that self-awareness piece, that is where it all begins. That when we understand who we are, what we're passionate about, but then also understand, are we being led by other people's opinions of us? Or are we truly leading to our heart's desires and our passions? And I always say to some of my clients, Anil, is that, we want to be considerate about what other people think of us, but we don't want to determine our life by them. So what could be some advice that you can give us as how would you really know if you are leading by what you think is what everyone expects from you versus really leading from your heart and from what you were designed to do? What could be some cues that people would know what side of the fence they're on?
Okay, so the number one thing is awareness. So be aware of when you're doing a task, whether you love it or you hate it, whether you're doing it because you want to or you have to. And ask yourself, is this bringing me joy? Am I enjoying this? And be honest with yourself. For me, doing paperwork, accounting, technical stuff brings me great distress. So I don't do it. As much as I can, I won't do it. I only do the things that I love to do, which is speaking, coaching, guiding, mentoring, content, serving. So if you're not joyous, if you're not doing what brings you joy, reconsider, and also see how tired you are at the end of the day. If you're really very, very tired, it means you're not doing something that you love. Are you joyous to get up in the morning to go and do what you love? And it may mean a small tweak. It may mean to delegate. It may mean that you're working too hard. Okay, so ask yourself, what could I delegate that I do not like? And all of a sudden, you'll see that you'll start to love things more at a much deeper level.
So what I'm hearing you say is that in that self-awareness, we need to question our decisions and why we're doing the things that we're doing. And is it life-giving or is it life-sucking? And at the end of the day, can we be thinking about the things that we did during the day because it's giving us more life? We want more of that versus am I tired and, you know, am I drained from my day or my activities and those types of things? Because I do believe that we can walk around in this unconscious state, so to speak, and we're just reacting and just doing what society, what the world, what other people think of us, but to step back and to think about, well, who am I? Who is this person? What do I enjoy? Then how can I get there ultimately? So with that being said, you know, I think about as a psychotherapist, the mindset is just so important in our mind and some of the things that template or create our thought patterns, so to speak. What were some of the things that you can share from your own journey that have shifted the way that you've thought, shifted the way that you look at the world and look at life, that has been part of your own journey?
Well, you know, I developed a happiness formula, which is happiness equals G cubed. The first G is you have to give. Give your time, your energy, your love, your commitment, your gift, your money. Give it away, but not wanting anything in return. When I was in my suicidal mode, I started to give. And in the moment you give, there is no pain and there is no suffering. So if at any time you're feeling down or dismayed, start giving. Phone a friend, give some advice, give some help. You know, help someone across the street, buy someone a coffee, do something. And I promise you, as long as it's authentic, it'll make you feel so much better. The second G is be grateful for what you have and don't focus on what you don't have. So Janie, if you look at your hands, look at both sides. When was the last time you thanked them?
I can't even remember.
Yeah, what have they done for you?
They've done a lot, tremendous, a lot.
No. Everything. Imagine life without them. What would you give to get them back? Everything.
Everything, absolutely.
It's the small thing that are the big things. You know, your beautiful eyes, your smile, your skin. So be grateful. Exercise that muscle. And the third G is you have to grow emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. So these are the things you need to work on. Give, grow, gratitude. Now, at any given time during a day, if ever you're not feeling 100%, one of those three G's is below the rest. So always work on the lowest one, lowest one, lowest one, and everything rises. It's very powerful.
That is a very powerful, the giving, the being grateful and growing. And that little exercise, it just puts things in perspective and how we look at the world and how it is sometimes the littlest things mean everything. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that with our viewers.
Thank you.
So I'm going to transition here, Anil. So one of the things that you're really a master of that have achieved excellent and outstanding results is that you shortcut everyone's pain and you cut through all that years of self-doubt and lack of self-confidence, or even the cyclical patterns of negative and toxic relationships. So I want to focus, the next few minutes on this particular hot topic. There are so many people out there that are unequally yoked, are in horrible relationships. Janie can certainly attest to this as a psychotherapist, that there's so many either people that draw narcissism into their life or narcissistic relationships, or because they have not had a chance to heal, continue to repeat the pattern over and over and over again. In fact, in one of my breakdowns, when Anil was mentoring me, the first thing he actually put charge on was my own accountability. He goes, you need to change. Because at that point I was like, no, but this is what they did to me, and that person broke my heart, and that person betrayed me, right? Same person, by the way. And then I stayed and I tried to change, and he's like, you need to change, and refocused me on my own patterns that was attracting, that in my past life. So let's talk about that, Anil. I'm going to give you the floor to really talk about relationships. How do people find the one? Because I know that I attended your mastermind last year there in Celebration, Florida. And one of the things that you said, which we're not going to give the viewers because I want them to really be coached and mentored by you too, is this. When you find the right person, or to try to weed out the right person, because you ask 3 questions and you will know if that's your lifetime person without having to go in this endless dating cycle that society's in between, swipes and just going to one date after another to find this person. Is you could literally nail down with just 3 questions. But let's focus on, first of all, the relationship aspect. Why do people continue to draw what is bad? And second, why do they want to stay on that and try to go back to that relationship?
Well, it's very simple. People spend more time picking a car or picking an iPhone or a cell phone than they do a relationship. They'll meet someone and they'll think, oh, great, this is the one. I'm happy, I'm in love. But they haven't really aligned their values. So if you imagine you're buying a phone, you want the phone to do X, Y, and Z. So you research the phone or you research the car that meets your criteria. But no one has criteria for a relationship. So if you have 3 or 4 major criteria where your values line up. So for example, number 1 would be integrity. People that you date need to have integrity. Number 2, someone that you would want to have a relationship should be loving and caring and honest and sincere. And number 3, you want someone healthy, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. Now, if you choose someone who's got a lot of mental baggage, they're going to bring that into the house. They're going to give some of that baggage and insert it into this real estate up here. You don't want that. Oh, they'll change. Oh, love will change them. No, it's not going to happen. So that's the most important thing. Spend more time picking a partner. Be more diligent. Be aware of the things they do which go against your values, because it'll be misaligned. Just people don't do that.
In the world that we live in right now, dating apps, Tinder, Bumble, Match.com, the process of selection has become so superficial. How does one, such as yourself, mentor, especially a lot of these, the excuses are there. I've heard it. We're busy professionals. It's easier to swipe and find a date for the evening. But yet there's a lot of lonely hearts because they're not trying to find a date. They're looking for that eternity, the one, that will be equally yoked. As I said, how do you advise them, or what is your message to the world for those that are very heavy into the online dating?
Well, if they're too busy and they have to go through Tinder or whatever it's called, what's going to happen when they get a relationship? They're still going to be busy. So it's going to end in pain. And also the Tinder encourages you to lie, or encourages you to be a little bit sketchy with the truth. So people always don't tell the exact truth, how tall they are, how old they are, if they're married, single. And that's not the type of relationship you want to work on. The way to meet someone is go volunteer, go do some charity work. That's where you want to meet someone. That's where you can see them in their true nature. I don't believe in dating. Don't date. Go for a walk, go for a coffee, go do something together, go feed the homeless. That's where you're going to find someone with true morals and a beautiful heart.
And for our listeners and viewers, how long have you been married?
30 years. Oh, is this on video?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Mina. Mina's got an extra. So 30 beautiful years.
30 years and days.
And what's beautiful about this, so folks, just to take a step back here. So I had my, what I call quote unquote website moment experience with Anil. just very recently, literally within the last 24 hours. And I'm going to, bridge this to where this conversation is going. So he sends me a message the other night, Janie, and says, Melody, how would you like to have an amazing opportunity to fly and, basically come with me in a private jet? It's not just a private jet. It's the world's fastest private jet. And I had less than 24 hours to say yes. Actually, it's more than less than 12 hours. Right. And I had to scramble. Obviously, all the excuses in the world, the appointments, the busyness, the rescheduling, the monetary, I mean, everything was there. And I had to push against that to say, but this is also one of those golden lifetime opportunities. So, of course, I said yes, which is why we're in New Orleans. But beyond that, what I observed during that flight, Janie, is this. 30 years of marriage. And do you want to know what Anil and Meena Gupta was doing and right there?
No. Keep this private.
No. This is something that the viewers had to see.
Promise not to tell.
Well, some parts I won't tell. I may hold that for ransom later. No, but the observation of what a loving, healthy relationship is what I was, very honored to watch between two people that were so engaged in communication that I said, are you two just going to stare at each other the whole flight, as fast or short this flight may be? Because they played cards. There was a partnership, there was an entertaining, there was a lot of teasing, and yet there was still some of that element of what I call courtship happening between the two of them. And I was just in awe because, here I am going, I want what they have in that partnership. I want that best friend element where Meena was just laughing like a new young girl in love throughout the flight. And Anil was just being Anil, but really engaged. It was just their world on their side of the plane of just lovingly looking at each other. So if we were to take any type of relationship advice, I would definitely take it from someone who's proven that in 30 years of marriage, time tested and true, and never take advice from somebody who's had failed relationships and still in a failed relationship, because that would just be opinions that you really can't bank on. But I just wanted to share that with the viewers since we're talking about relationships and then, the opportunity to say yes at the same time. Is what I had truly observed as somebody here who not only carries his message to the world, but authentically lives it. So, Janie, I'm going to let you stew on that since I know this is part of your specialty too.
And that is great. And I'm appreciative that you were able to share that with us, Melanie, because there's a few things that I want to go back to what Anil said. You talked about some criteria for relationships, and that's having integrity and being healthy and spending time to pick a partner. Because many times I'm a psychotherapist, so I'm a mental health therapist by trade. So one of the things that I'll see with people's mindset when it comes to relationships is the way that we will treat people when their pet dies. So when that relationship ends, quickly go and get another one, or quickly go out and date and quickly do these types of things. And going back to that criteria, I would also add, and I want to switch this to business as well, is that we need to be that ourselves. We need to be the person to have integrity. We need to be the person who truly is loving and caring and takes care of ourselves and be healthy, because like attracts like. We can't attract what we ourselves are not. So I'll see that not only in people's personal relationships, but also when it comes to business, that there are people who want to have and take things to the next level, but they cannot master the level that they're on. Could you help us when you think about in all relationships, whether it's business or personal relationships, when people are stuck, what are some of those key nuggets that you can toss at us that can help us get unstuck? We know we have to be self-aware. We have to learn who we are. We got to be what we need to be first. But then we want to be to that next level. What could be some of those key things that can help us get there?
Well, first, I would never go to the next level. Go 10 levels, 20 levels up, So the secret is awareness. Awareness gives you clarity, and what people are missing is clarity. So what they need to do is do the three-way test, the happiness test. Are they giving? Are they growing? Are they grateful? Then just get a quiet moment, a quiet space, and just let the mind wander and ask themselves, what do they really want? And ask better quality questions. How can I explode my business? What do I need to let go of? Who do I need to hire? What is it I really want? What else could I change? How could I increase revenues? How could I increase profitability? How can I change? What do I need to change? Who do I need to become? Do I need a coach? Do I need to go on an executive training program? So keep on asking these questions. How do I need to change? And eventually the answers will come. Always have pen and paper with you, because sometimes the answers come at 2 a.m. So it's a constant, I call it aim. Always improving myself. You need to always work on yourself, because you're the common denominator in wherever you go.
And that, I think we all want to take that and soak that in, because I also hear in that, you know, one of the things that I'm currently in a mastermind with one of my own mentors. And one of the things that I'm getting personally, as well as from a business standpoint, is that we have to be willing to confront the things that we don't want to confront, whether it's how we manage money, how we manage relationships, how we manage our own thought process, how we manage our own relationships. Because to your point, we cannot grow if we don't have that self-awareness. If we're not willing to cut ourselves open and look at all of our ugliness, all of our stuff, that we're not going to be able to move to beyond that stuck point unless that happens. So when we get to that place where people are willing to do that, could you share with us a little bit about, and I know this is also a shameless plug, but I think it's important for people to hear this, the benefit of finding the right coach. You know, Melanie talked about and shared your personal example about when people, we can go to our friends and get relationship advice, and yeah, we can have them comfort us and help us get through certain things. But to go to people that have actually know what it takes, the hard work, the hard sweat, and all that stuff to get to where we want to get to. So how can we find like the right coach, so to speak? Who would be a good fit for us? There are so many coaches out there. There are just, we can just turn on social media, Neil. There's everyone's calling themselves a coach. And, you know, sometimes people are coaching from the wrong reasons and then we're not necessarily able to help us. So how would we know like who would be a good fit for us for a coach that can help us unpack our mindset, help us get into self-awareness and get to the places of which we can be passionate about and that God may have for our own path?
It's very easy. You have to ask the right question. So one of the questions I would ask is, you know, what experience do you have? One coach said to me, well, I've had 12 unsuccessful relationships, so I know what not to do. And I said, interesting. So can I ask you a question? He said, sure. If you went to a heart surgeon and he said, I've had 12 unsuccessful operations, I know what not to do, would you have an operation with him? He said, of course not. Thank you very much. Okay. Ask them, do you have any video testimonials, not written ones? Anyone can write a written testimonial, but who's willing to put their face on a video and recommend you? What's your gift? What's your reason you're doing this? What makes you so special? What are your guarantees? How soon can you cause transformation in my life? And these are strong and powerful questions. And if they feel intimidated, they're not the right coach. You want someone who's not going to be intimidated by anything that you say to them. And awareness. Watch their reaction. Watch their facial expressions. And take your time, because this is important. This is vital for your life, for your enjoyment, your happiness, your joy. Everything depends on this. Take your time. Choose the right questions. Dig deeper. A true professional will not be bothered.
Thank you for that, Anil. Absolutely. Nothing intimidates the right mentor or the right coach.
And in fact, how he shows up will become even more powerful, because you'll see that he'll resonate at a frequency that you like. So, oh, I kind of like the way he's responding to me, or I don't like the way he responded. He's good, but I don't like the way he responded. So see if he aligns with you and your vibrational energy, and see if you're a neat fit.
Very cool. And as we're getting close to our end time, because this great nuggets always goes by so fast. But I do want to ask you one question, Neil. Outside Tony Robbins, who has had the most positive impact in your life that truly transformed who you are and your message today with the world?
Really, I have a few. It'd be my wife, my son, my daughter, and Richard Branson. You know, I spent a lot of time with Richard. He's taught me so many things about business, about how to show up in life, how to respond, how to react. Very humble man. I remember a time we played tennis together. After the match, I asked, "Hey, Richard, would you like a cup of tea?" And he said, "Anil, it would be my pleasure to make you one." So that's, to me, a very pure, humble human being who cares for the planet, who cares for people. And to me, I've never seen him with an ego. So really, it doesn't matter whether they're a billionaire or it's your son. People can have a huge impact on your life. It's just that how you listen to them and how you show up in front of them.
What has parenthood taught you?
To remove the ego and remove me. I remember the day my son was born, I disappeared, and it was the most beautiful thing because I started to focus my entire being around one thing, one living soul. Everything else disappeared. All the pains, all the anguishes, all the worries disappeared. So once you start focusing on other people, you'll find all sorts of beautiful things will start to happen for you, and the nasty things will start to disappear.
And here's another one that I want listeners to actually take note of. Anil asked the question during our mastermind last year at his boot camp. What is the greatest gift that you can give your children? And of course, we have the typical answers: love, time, education, and the list went on and on. So Anil, since we don't have a Q&A forum with the listeners here, could you then tell them what the golden answer is of what is the greatest gift you can give to your children?
Sure. The greatest gift you can give your kids is this: give them the ability to handle life. Allow them the gift of handling anything that life throws at them. And isn't that what happens in nature when a child is born in nature? It's taught how to defend itself, how to walk and avoid being eaten and killed. And this is what we should do with our kids. As parents, we smother our kids. We should be pushing them out. It doesn't mean we love them less. It allows them to love us because they want to love us, not because they have to.
And could you expand on that as far as when he said push them out into the world for survival? There was one story that you told us last year on how you asked your two little kids to find their way home. Could you cite that example? Because there was some shock, emotional reaction when Emil shared this message. And but when I look at where his kids are today, it certainly proves that the training ground that he started with them when they were kids had yielded such golden results. So Anil, can you please tell them what exercise you took your kids to in finding their way home?
So I think my son was 8, my daughter was 6. We took them to central London and we told them to get home by themselves. That was 19 years ago. We still haven't seen them.
That's a joke, people. That's a joke. His son is actually one of the most accomplished young men I've ever met, and a lot of people have met, to the point that he's actually been recognized by Tony Robbins himself for his accomplishments. And his daughter is following father's footsteps in the medical field, former life of Anil here, and has just been, just an intelligent young woman. And they're still trying to find their way home because they travel around the world, constantly. When I look at their Instagram, because we're all connected on social media, the kids are still trying to find their way home, because they're via Santorini, or they're in London,
Crazy.
Yeah. or Paris, or most exotic places. So, the training that they have had when they were little I said, continues to prevail as they travel around the world, these two young ones. And they're not just traveling for leisure. The one thing with AJ, Anil's son, is when he travels, he also impacts lives along the way, because he has one of the biggest humanitarian hearts for someone so young to have that global focus of, I'm going to be a humanitarian while I'm doing all this other big things. So Janie, I'll kick it off to you with that.
That is a wonderful story, and the nugget, and I just really resonate with that, is to be able to give our kids the gift to handle life. I mean, we could probably talk about that in parenting in so many ways. But, obviously, through the mentorship that you've had with Melanie and then with your parenting, the fruits of who you are and your constant of the 3 G's yourself come into play. So, in Life Unscripted, it's always important for us to be able to give our viewers, why do you do the things that you do? So why are you mentoring? Why are you doing all the things, and you're giving all the wisdom and the inspiration and just who you are? I mean, what is Anil's why?
It's really very simple. As human beings, we do everything for one reason only. We have a meal, a relationship, a car, money in the bank for one reason only, for the feeling it gives us. So when I was suicidal, I started to give, and the feeling it gave me was very powerful, and it became an addiction. So every time I help someone, the feeling it gives me is immense. I feel full, I feel empowered, I feel I'm making a difference. So that's the only reason I do it, because it makes me feel great. Maybe it's a selfish reason. It doesn't really matter, because everybody wins. But the feeling I get from helping someone is the most incredible feeling on the planet.
Because you're making a difference and everybody wins. I mean, those are two just golden nuggets I want to shine for our listeners and our viewers, is that when we do the things that we do, does everyone win? And is it giving us more purpose? So with that being said, Anil, I mean, you are just, incredible inspiration in the nuggets and the person who you've been, and just sharing your vulnerability. So what is next for you? Like, what's the next things for you, whether it's events or whether it's about what you're doing? What can we expect from you?
Well, I hold events, I do coaching programs. My mission is to move, touch, and inspire 1,000 million people. I've been speaking to Melody about filling a football stadium with young kids and inspiring them. I'm speaking with Al Gore next week, and I'm flying to London, Vienna, Frankfurt, and just sharing my message. So if anyone wants me to come and speak to their company or to their country or to their organization, I'd be happy to speak, because I really want to get the message out there that we can change the planet, we can change our lives, we can change our communities.
And as with that, Anil, so we are here to support you. We're definitely sending this message to the world via podcast. I just want to ask you, and this comes from a personal and a professional as well, is how can then we add value to your life, because you've been giving so much of yourself without asking anything in return or expecting anything to do for you. But I want to honor you, because those whom you honor honors you. And I've learned that in just the way you exist, and that of my other mentors, is how can we or I further add value to your own purpose in life?
Well, if you know of a group or an organization that I can speak in front of, young people, any type of people who could benefit from the message, I'd be happy to speak. I'll fly anywhere in the world to speak. If it changes one person's life, it's worth it, because people are suffering so much. There are so many suicides, there's so many mental health issues, and I've got programs and processes and methodologies, tools that have an immediate impact to overcome these tragedies, so that people can lead richer, fuller, happier lives. So if you know of anybody who could use one-to-one coaching, group coaching, or public speaking, or want me to speak, I'd be more than delighted to do that.
And how do they find you, Anil?
The easiest way is my email, which is Anil, ANIL, @immediatehappiness.com. My website is Immediate Happiness. where you can gain access to a free download of my book. There's amazing videos. I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube that you could watch. One video could change your life.
And I can guarantee you that one conversation will change your life. So as we come to a close of Life Unscripted, we would like to thank you so much for your valuable wisdoms and golden nuggets that, again, just with your presence alone for this hour, I'm sure will be impacting many as they take a different outlook on how they can grow, give, and live in gratitude. This is Melody. Thank you. This is Melody signing off on this week's podcast. Don't forget to rate and review, and definitely subscribe via iTunes or Spotify with Life Unscripted. Thank you, Janie. You have an amazing week.
Thank you for tuning in with Life Unscripted.
Thank you, Anil. Have a great week.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.